Hello Internet, this is Olin from What I'm Listening To, here once again with another episode of Quickies. Today's list of CDs is catered by my coworker, Morgan. I had asked her to pick out some CDs for me to check out, get to know, and boy did she deliver. More so than I expected. So instead of the 8 or 10 CDs she initially gave me, I had to do 5. So let's get into it. First up, I have an album by the band The Tall Dwarfs. This is a New Zealand duo, one of the many folks signed on to Flying Nun, the notorious New Zealand label, putting out amazing albums. This is the band's second album, and it sounds exactly like what you'd expect from a Flying Nun release. It's very poppy sounding music, but a bit noisy at times. Really good stuff. I was kind of surprised by this one here. I have listened to a lot of Flying Nun stuff over the last year and a half, and this was one that I didn't know about, so I was glad when she recommended me this so I could add this to the knowledge bank of Flying Nun bands. First up, the Fork Songs album from 1991. I can't tell if this is the original release or if this is a reissue. I think this is an original issue. It might be, actually. Let's take another look at the track listing here. So it's a bonus EP. Yeah, so I'm curious if this was a reissue later put out by Flying Nun. I'm not sure. I'd have to look more into it, but anyways, it's a fantastic album. Really cool stuff on here. Definitely recommend checking these guys out. Staying on the topic of the Tall Dwarfs, I have here an album by a dude named Alec Bathgate. Alec is one of the 2 members of the Tall Dwarfs, and kind of is the giveaway because we have the file under the Tall Dwarfs section. He only released 2 solo albums, and I believe this is his first of the 2. This one's also released on Flying Nun Records, and just like the Tall Dwarfs, this stuff sounds fairly similar. Maybe a little more folky, little more refined. There is some kind of lo-fi noisy elements to it, but overall, all this is still very melodic, very poppy sounding, and it's good stuff. And I really like the art direction on this album. Kind of like this weird collage style. Certain parts of pictures are like colored in here, makes it all pop out. And this guy dressed up like a demon. But yes, this is another great album. Absolutely recommend checking out. And again, if you're a fan of Flying Nun, then give it a listen. Okay, next up I have not another Flying Nun album. This is a project called Gorky's Zygotic Mynci. I think that's how you pronounce it. But this is pretty obvious that this is a Morgan pick because it has their sticker right there, plain in sight. These guys are a Welsh band, and unfortunately they're no longer active. But this is their second to last album in their discography, and compared to that of the Tall Dwarfs, the music is still very poppy, still very melodic, but I'd say it's a little lighter, maybe a little whimsical sounding. The first thing I thought of when I was listening to this album was it reminded me a lot of Belle and Sebastian or 60s pop music in general. But yeah, just really nice, soothing music. I honestly did not know what to expect with a band name such as Gorkys, but I was pleasantly surprised by this. So I definitely recommend checking this one out if you are needing something easy to listen to. If you like soft rock, soft pop music, absolutely check this one out. Next up, I have an album by a guy named Epic Soundtracks. So Epic Soundtracks is the stage name for the musician Kevin Godfrey, and it's kind of funny because his name, Epic Soundtracks, is treated like a proper name, so we file this under S, as if it's his last name. I don't know why. I guess that's just how we wanted it to be. But anyways, Epic was involved with a bunch of other bands, such as the Swell Maps, Crime and the City Solution, and the Jacobites. Unfortunately, he's no longer with us. He passed away in his sleep at the age of 38. And what's kind of weird about that is, to this day, there's no cause of death. It just kind of happened. It could have been natural causes. He could have had a disease or something. We really don't know. But yeah, he just passed away. And incredibly sad, because the stuff on here is phenomenal. This is a compilation of a lot of his music. And the recommendation sticker here, it's a heavy piano-driven pop jams from Swell Maps founder. It's recommended for folks who also like John Lennon and television. I would also add that if you're a fan of Daniel Johnston, you might dig this album, because it's true that it kind of has that John Lennon sort of sound, that singer-songwriter sound, but the lyrics are just very, very honest. They tell stories, and again, it reminds me of just kind of that like honest melancholy that Daniel had in a lot of his piano-driven songs. And as a massive fan of his, I was in turn a big fan of this. This is not an album that would have been released if Epic Soundtracks had stayed alive, hopefully, though I have managed to put together something that he would have been proud of. I don't exactly know how many albums he had released in the time that he was making music under the Epic Soundtracks name. I will have to look into that, but I'd say this was a really, really great way to get exposed to his music here. Yeah, definitely check this album out. This was a really, really good listen. I might have to seek out a copy of this with a slipcase in better condition. You can see there's a nice stain right there, and it's a little beat up, but I'm sure I can find a copy somewhere. And the final CD I have for you today, this is yet another compilation. This is called Sharon Signs to Cherry Red. And as the title suggests right here, this is a collection of music by independent women between the years of 1979 and 1985. So the title of this comes from the song with the same name, Sharon Signs to Cherry Red, by the Kamikaze Pilots. And this just has tons and tons and tons of music. 2 discs worth of music, as you can see. And these are all independent artists, bands, projects, people like the Marine Girls, Strawberry Switchblade, the Modettes are amongst the many that are on here. As you can see, this is Morgan's copy, so I'll have to be sure to give this back to her when I'm done with it. But yeah, this is a really, really cool compilation. I really like Cherry Red Records. They have put out some amazing things over the years, this being one of them. And this booklet is really cool because it has a breakdown of every single person, project, band that was involved with this. Kind of talks about who they were and their impact on the scenes. And really, this is just a nice thing to check out if you're interested in kind of this scene of music that seems to be largely ignored, but really cool to see that Cherry Red put this out for more exposure for all these ladies. But yeah, I'm still in the process of listening to this because there's a lot here, but I really like what I've heard so far, so I'm excited to finish it all up here. Okay, that concludes this episode of Quickies. Thank you all so much for watching, and Morgan, if you're watching, thank you for catering these CDs. And hey, you should go check out her band, The Umbrellas. It's a fantastic project. They have a full-length album coming out in August, which should be really cool. I will leave a link to their Bandcamp in the description below, so give it a listen and give them some support, and I will see you guys next time.